When can self-improvement be a negative thing? And I think there is a point where it actually can be a negative thing. I've definitely experienced it on my journey, and that's not, I think, as bad a thing as you would think. My hair's a mess, but anyway, guys, I haven't made a video in a while, so I wanted to upload something influential. I don't know what I talked about in the last video. I think it was something about women or something, but this is when I think self-improvement can actually be a fairly negative thing. A lot of these motivational videos that are supposed to help you, I feel like can instill negative beliefs. A lot of these workout / motivational videos, I don't know if you watched them. I mean, they literally show up in your algorithm. You've watched one. In fact, there might be one that shows up after this. Look, I am all for self-improvement. I am not against self-improvement. I'm on the journey. I'm improving myself. I work out every day. I do the stuff. Now, I don't journal, to be honest. YouTube is kind of how I journal because I don't really like journaling. I don't know. I like writing, and I'm actually fairly good at writing, but I don't know. It just doesn't interest me. I understand that, like, I'm going to offend all the self-improvement people, but yeah, I don't really journal, and I meditate, but I don't meditate that much because I think it's my ADHD. It could be my, like, whatever, but I just find it to be, I do it, but I don't really consider it to be as essential part of the journey as some people may. Some people might find that as more of an essential thing, like journaling and meditating. Like, that's great. That works for you. That's awesome. But it's not really like that important. What's been helpful for me is exercise. Exercise has been my number one thing. I am an athlete. If you don't notice behind me, this is my old job. That was what I used to do. So I'm a person who's fairly fairly pro exercise. I think exercise is the most important thing for me. Now, everyone, like I said, I feel like the problem with self-improvement is that everyone has this general idea of what they're supposed to do, of like, oh, you journal and then you meditate, and everyone says you should do this too, and it's a good thing, and it's mostly a good thing. These are great habits, and these are mostly good. When it can be bad is when, I think, if you're doing these things as a coping mechanism and you're using it as a negative coping mechanism, because we as humans, we tend to do this. We tend to focus on avoiding the truth in our life, avoiding rejection, avoiding pain, and I've used self-improvement as a crutch. I'm guilty of that because I had PMO, which was my crutch before. I've had video games as a crutch. I've used a lot of things in my life as a crutch to avoid pain. I think also, this is kind of embarrassing. It's going to be kind of, I'm admitting this a lot, but this is going to be really personal. But one of the crutches I also have is I tend to latch to my mother a little bit too much. Really embarrassing, and I know that's kind of like personal topic, but at the same time, it's like, at the same time, I've kind of created this on my own. I've kind of like created this habit. It's a bad habit, but I tend to look for her for guidance a little bit too much, and it's kind of like not people, and I've realized it's kind of held me back a little bit. Because the mistakes that we need to make these mistakes in life. Like, it is actually important. And I've been held back a lot of my life because of just the fear of making mistakes and not taking risks. And you have to take risks to succeed ultimately. I mean, that's really the ultimate self-improvement, is kind of being okay with, the fact that you are a flawed human being and that you want to do things that aren't always smart. Like, we aren't smart. We aren't smart creatures. We are not always capable of doing the correct thing. But we mustn't blame others. And the problem with the black pill and the problem with these motivational videos is that it makes you stay in this like isolated world where you are just by yourself and you're not really getting enough feedback from the outside world, so you get this negative feedback loop. I feel like that's what I feel like is permeating a lot of the depression. Because the depression is actually self-created. That's one thing I do believe. It's gonna like offend a bunch of mental health people, and I know that's gonna bother some people. But the truth is that as somebody who has been seriously depressed, suicidal, and like at times like it's such a fairly common thing, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this. The biggest issue with depression is that I think the reason it exists is because you are not accomplishing something that you want to fix it. You want to fix whatever the problem is, but for whatever reason you don't feel like you can't, or the anxiety in your mind is holding you back from taking care of the issue. You got to take care of that issue. You got to like overcome whatever that is, but your brain, part of your brain is like afraid or, you know, anxious or whatever. And I'm starting to I'm starting to just, after 9, 10 months, realize that what is the purpose of semen retention. Like after doing it for like almost, I'm close to like 300 days, or I've done like hit like a point where it's like I've been doing it for so long that it's just so natural for me now. And I feel like I'm on another level with, and the life lessons that I'm learning on semen retention are just incredibly valuable. And maybe it's placebo, maybe it's whatever. I mean, all these people are going to be like, it's just placebo, blah, 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 doesn't have benefits. That's just not true. I mean, to say that it doesn't have any benefits is an absolutely insane statement to me. I mean, now that I've been on it for such a long time, like saying that this is just placebo is kind of ridiculous, because I mean, I started doing semen retention back in like 2019. I wasn't consistent with it. I failed a lot. I relapsed a lot. I'm going to tell you like right now, I've relapsed like thousands of times. I mean, I've relapsed so many times obviously on retention, but I always would try to at least go a couple days. I would always like hit 2 days. Sometimes I hit 1 day and then I fail. But I kept trying. And I said, I'm going to get over this. I don't care how long it takes. I'm going to get over this addiction. It's a really hard addiction to quit. It is one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. I never had an addiction to anything else. I did lots of different drugs, honestly, growing up too. And I know that's embarrassing. But that I never got addicted to that stuff. But PMO, the sex addiction was the biggest issue. And finally I came it. I think it's also because the thing about PMO is that PMO really does use your urges against you. It really is like using that natural state of like a really, big drive. You really are fighting like the most powerful drive that's there. That's why it's so hard to quit, I think. It's like quitting meth or something. Like, dude, it's about as hard as that, I think, in my opinion. But I'm like almost a year clean. Like, guys, like that's a big accomplishment. And the difference I was 9 months ago, I really do think I was like a different person 9 months ago when I was relapsing. And even though I was on retention and I was like staying, like 30 days, 40 days, whatever amount, I mean, sometimes hitting 90 days, like I had several streaks, like multiple 90-day streaks where I was like pretty consistent. I was clean for months at a time, and I had been getting better and better at, kind of keeping longer and longer streaks until I hit this one, which I feel like was the streak where now I've experienced a lot of life lessons. And that's why I really think everyone should try it. And I think men need to do this. I don't think this is even like something you should try. Like you should be doing this. Like if it helps you retain your vitality. Like, and I'm trying to learn more about retention, as in like the more like the sexual aspects of like transmuting the energy and possibly, the body orgasm. I want to learn more about this stuff and more about, getting, still being with women, but not, but still retaining, which really sounds amazing. And it sounds like ideal, because honestly, I want to retain my vitality, but I still want to have relationships with women, and I still want to like, have this, use that vitality to succeed in life. And I really do feel more control over my sexual desires than I ever did. I feel like I know what I want sexually. But like I said, I'm having to like I said, it's almost like being reborn. That's literally what it feels like. I feel like I was dead for like 16 years. I mean, that's messed up. I know that sounds weird, but like for large part of my life, I don't feel like that's how much it messed me up. Like my brain was not there. I was not as aware. I wasn't in the moment like I was. Like, I was there and things were happening and my brain was still able to experience some good things. Like, it wasn't like PMO completely destroyed everything. Like, I could still feel good things, but it was just so much less compared to how I feel now, where the emotions I feel are much stronger. Like, when I'm listening to music, I just feel so much better. Like, I just feel way better than I did. And I think that is a testament to how that it works. Like, retention 100% works. And it changes the way you look. Like, bro, look, I look fucking hot. Like, I'm not gonna fucking lie. Like, I know this sounds like gay or something or whatever, but like, I feel 100% more. Like, when I look at myself in the mirror, I feel good. I feel good. I'm not trying to take off my shirt. I am just itchy. But fact is, I just, I couldn't always do the things that I wanted to do when I wasn't on retention. When I didn't have control of my mind, I was very simpy. And look, I just look way better. I work out every day. I do 100 push-ups a day. I stuck to that routine for like 200 days. And while retaining the vitality, it feels different. It just hits different when you stop relapsing and you finally just hit that point where you just like, okay, this is what I do. This is what I do. I'm on NoFap. It's not a big deal anymore. It's not like this. It's not always easy. There is a part of me where and there's also a thing that mentioned about how things get weird or whatever after you hit past 3 months. My thought is that there is a point where you have to kind of, I think, decide sexually like what you want, and you have to figure out that, because it's a natural state of being. But like I said, our culture doesn't really understand this because we are very sexualized. This culture, we have to admit, no matter what, if you're a female, you have to admit there's a lot of sexuality in this culture. Like, it is quite sexual. Like, people are just like wanting to, I don't know, the sexual whatever is going on. Everyone wants to be, there's moose sexuals and shit, like some weird fetish shit out there. It's gotten very strange. And not gonna lie, I wouldn't mind being with a woman right now. It would be great. And I'm not here to I'm not resentful about it. I feel less resentful towards women doing retention as well. It's kind of a good thing. Like, holding in my vitality made me realize that I really didn't need. It's not that I don't need women, and it's like, I think it's okay to need women. And I think this is like I said, this is where retention and self-improvement kind of gets muddy and weird. And where they don't really, there's some bad, terrible advice that is being put out there by these motivational videos where it's like, ghost everyone, don't try to socialize, just stay on your grind, go and work out and lift weights and just stay in the corner. And I don't understand how how is that going to make your life better? I don't see that as good advice. And that, I think that's why I think that a lot of these videos that say shit like that, like there's a video I'm going to point out here, that kind of explains literally the title you can see is David Goggins. While I respect the shit out of David Goggins, this is not a good way to think about things. I don't think either. You still should be able to socialize and still have friends and stuff like that and still party a little bit and have a good time. And you can still improve yourself. Why not?